Gippsland Art Gallery, and today we're going to be drawing a continuous line drawing of this sculpture here, and it's Conjurer by Benjamin Armstrong, and we're going to be using charcoal or pencil, whichever one you have available. We're going to start with a 5-minute line drawing, just focusing on the outside of the shape, so you're going to make a silhouette. Just create a small 5 by 5 centimetre square on your page with your charcoal. You should have 3 variations of charcoal, one that is long and thick, another that is smaller and has harsher sides on it, so that you will be able to create definition within your shadows, and one that is smaller and pointed to create fine details within your drawing. And then you're going to start by picking the topmost section of your artwork, which is going to be our sculpture. This might not be what you've got at home, but it's what we're working with today. And then I'm going to start drawing this branch that is closest to me. Start at the top and then come down, just sketching the outside silhouette of my figure. And it's just what you can see. Don't worry if this isn't perfect, because it's just your warm-up and it's only going to go for 5 minutes. It's okay if part of your drawing is outside your 5 by 5 centimetre square. Just focus on what you can see inside the square, so that you don't have to focus on all of the outside details, because this will draw you away from your image. If you run out of room or you're not happy with your drawing, just start again in another 5 by 5 centimetre square. It's just to warm your hand up, and that's all that you need to do for this exercise. Capture our shape. So this is going to be getting you to focus on the form of the figure that you're sketching. Ours is going to be a sculpture, and we're just going to be sketching what we can see just in a cropped section. So I might choose a small 5 by 5 centimetre square that is closest to my line of sight. So mine is going to be angled to the right of me, and I can see that next to my easel, and it's about 2 steps away from me. So I'm just going to start by quickly sketching in quick geometric structured lines to capture the angle of the branch of the sculpture that I'm looking at. And it's going to be quite a close cropped up section of the sculpture. This will help you to capture the form and understand how something is actually shaped, and to add detail to it later on when you start adding more minute details with your smaller bits of charcoal. And so after I've done my structured lines, I can go in and use the available source of lighting, which for here is our lighting in the roof. It might be natural lighting where you are, and that's okay. Just add in your shadows that you can see that are available. This is quite a structured sculpture, so it's rounded, so I'm going to make my shadows appear as though the sculpture is rounded. They're quite prominent on the side that is closest to me, and there's some shadows being cast by the top of the sculpture as well. And then you're going to vary your shading to give the sculpture detail and dimension. And don't forget to step back from your drawing every couple of minutes to adjust and see whether you're capturing the form correctly and make adjustments as needed. If you do need to rub something out and you're using charcoal, you should use a kneadable eraser and try and grab a clean edge of it, and then you can use the side of it to knock in a highlight or to erase something that you've put in as a mistake. This is going to be our final drawing for this evening, and we're going to be doing a 10-minute continuous line drawing, and I put mine on a darkened background by turning my charcoal sideways and rubbing it across my square and then knocking it back with my hand to make it an even texture in the background. And this is just going to give your drawing a little bit more depth and a bit more dimension, and it will make it a little bit more interesting as a composition. So after you have darkened your background, you can start with either your long thick bit of charcoal, or you can go in with your darker side that is flattened off on your smaller bit of charcoal, your medium charcoal. And you're going to start at the top of your drawing again. For a continuous line drawing, you're not going to take your hand off of the page, and this is going to be challenging for a lot of people because we're used to taking our hand off of the page and stepping back from our canvas and adjusting where we're at. With a continuous line drawing, you don't do that, obviously. So we're going to be looking at form and shape and line and how to construct that just with one line and capturing the form of the sculpture. So you're going to need a 15 by 30 centimetre square to put your drawing in. This is just a sketch, so don't worry if it's not a finished artwork by the end of it. And we're only going for 10 minutes, so put a timer on, something like that. And you're just going to draw what you can see. Try and fit the whole sculpture into your drawing if you're using the same subject as us. And I'm going to start from the top. Again, what is closest to me on my canvas. So it's going to be the top of the sculpture, the branch that is closest to my easel. And I'm going to start drawing from there, just using the tip of my charcoal and just drawing what I can see, mainly focusing on what I can see in the sculpture, following it around with my eye, similar to how we did in the first drawing with your silhouette, following the curves of the sculpture. And then when I reach a fork in the branch, I will come back up to create the other branch. And I can't see the rest of that, so I'm just going to chop it off there and then come back down and just draw the rest of what I can see, following the curves. Don't take your eye off of it if you're able to. Just dart your eyes between the subject and what you're drawing. And if you get to a part that you can't see, or you've made your drawing too big, just cut it off where it is and continue drawing what you can see. Try and get all of the curves in there. to create cuts and carve into the form, like I've just done, you can go down and double back, and then go over and create a V shape. And why we do this in continuous line drawing is to represent the forms that we can see that are overlapping each other. And so that we can draw the whole figure and not just the silhouette. And so to create shading and dimension in my drawing now that I've done the outside, I'm going to just drag my charcoal along, following the silhouette that I've created, and double back, and just scribble along the parts that would have shading, or any prominent lines that are in your drawing that you can see. If you need to look at your subject, just pause and then continue drawing when you figure out where you need to place your charcoal on the page. The reason that we do continuous line drawings is to force ourselves to look at the form and actually pay attention to it, and not just draw something that our eyes and our brain thinks makes sense. It's actually paying attention to where the form is. And usually you'll end up with something a bit more abstract. And you have to pay attention to the pressure that you're putting on your charcoal and how you're laying it on the page. And now I'm just going to go in and lay in some of the other forms that I haven't put in yet, that are behind my tree. You can just easily trace the figure, the silhouette. If you make a mistake, it's okay, because you can always go back over it and create a bit of shading and dimension in it to cover it up. See that I'm using my border as a run-in edge to come back to when I need to cut back into my drawing. if you're finding this challenging, you might choose to leave this there and then start again. And that's okay. I'm just adjusting where I can see my cropped image because I can't see past this section of the branch, past my easel. And it's okay if you need to adjust the size of your square, you might only want to do a small continuous line drawing. And now that I'm finished with my shading for this part here, I'm going to take my kneadable eraser again and knock in my highlights on the brightest parts of my sculpture, which will be just over the top here. Just around the back there's a small one. And over the top of this branch closest to me. And on the middle. This is an easy way to create form and shape within your composition. And while this is available to us at the gallery because we have access to the collection, it will not be available to your home unless you draw from a photograph as a reference from the website. So you could use something like a tree or an object available to you in your home or outside your home, maybe in your garden. I would suggest something like a teapot or an outside tree like a gum tree would be available to most people. So that's what I would suggest that you use. Thank you so much for joining us today, and if you do complete any drawings at home or any other sketches that are related to this video, if you could post them on Instagram or on Facebook, something like that, using the hashtag GippsArt